All right, let's jump right in. This week we're talking about India's wild economic ride, taking a peek into our tech-filled future, and we'll even get into a surprising comeback for some classic dance moves. Let's get to it.
With so much going on all the time, it's so easy to miss the stories that really count. So we've boiled down the whole week into just the essentials for you. Okay, let's kick things off with the economy.
First up, the economy. And it's a complicated story this week. It's like a real two-step between some absolutely fantastic news on one side and a few little worries bubbling up on the other.
And the big news is, well, it's massive. India has officially jumped past Japan and even California to become the world's fourth largest economy. I mean, this is a huge moment for the country. But it's not quite the whole story.
This is where things get really interesting. See, from a distance, the big picture looks amazing. We're in this so-called Goldilocks zone with high growth and low inflation. But when you zoom in, things look a little different. Factory activity and what people are actually buying, that slowed down last month. So analysts are kind of scratching their heads wondering if that top-line growth is really reaching everyone just
You know, one analyst put it perfectly. They said it's a bit of sugar and spice, not always everything nice. And that just perfectly sums up the complex economic picture we're looking at right now.
Speaking of the future, let's switch gears a bit. From the economy of today, let's look at the technology of tomorrow. Here's a little peek at what the experts think is coming our way by 2026.
So, what's on the horizon? Well, get ready for AI to be in pretty much everything. I'm talking your car, your kitchen, maybe even your toaster. And yeah, speaking of cars, expect to see a whole lot more self-driving vehicles hitting the roads in our cities.
Now, this all sounds incredibly cool, but it also leads to some pretty funny questions, right? Somebody joked, do we really want a self-driving car that judges our playlist? It's a fun way to think about how all this new tech is actually going to fit into our everyday lives. Now, let's go from tech to geopolitics and check out India's new game plan on the world stage. It really seems like the new playbook is all about making friends, not getting locked into rigid alliances.
The key word here, the one everyone's using, is pragmatism. Basically, India's foreign policy is shifting. It's moving toward these flexible partnerships that put economic growth and energy security first, instead of those old-school formal alliances. I think you could pretty much sum it all up like this. We love everyone, but not in a clingy way. It's a really smart strategy, right? Engage with everybody, but always keep your options open.
All right, let's bring it back home and talk about what's been happening on the domestic scene. The past week has really been dominated by conversations about two great Indian passions, cricket and the weather.
And the weather has been a huge story. The Indian Meteorological Department said that rainfall in December was almost 69% below average. That's a massive number. And to top it all off, they're now saying we should expect an unusually cold January. Definitely time to keep that chai nice and hot.
Okay, now for a little cricket news. Shubman Gill is back in the captain seat for the ODI series against New Zealand. And while the veterans, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, are still in the squad, some key players like Jasprit Bumrah and Hardik Pandya are getting a well-deserved break.
For our final section, let's take a look at what's been trending online and what's been happening on the ground. Let's get into some digital and local buzz.
So, in the digital world, a recent Google update has basically sent an earthquake through the Indian news industry. Some of the biggest news sites out there saw their traffic just tank. We're talking a drop of up to 70% overnight. That is a massive blow for online journalism.
But let's end on a really high note. Over in Bangalore, there's this beautiful revival of classic ballroom dancing going on. People are waltzing and jiving their way through the holidays. It's just a wonderful reminder of the simple joys, you know?
So there you have it, a week of huge economic milestones, a peek at future tech, some smart foreign policy, and a bit of local buzz. It was a week of really big numbers, but also some small, really important moments. And that just leaves us with one last thought for you. What was the week's biggest moment for you?